I'm Howie Scarborough. I'm the CEO of Fall Protection Distributors, and we've recently released a blog about economy metal standing seam profiles and the safest fall protection equipment that can be used on their roof systems to protect the roof as well as the workers. So if you're a contractor and you are planning work on one of these panels that Economy Metals puts out, this would be some great information for you when you're helping set up your safety rigging. So if you scroll down through this blog, you'll see we go through each different panel. They have a snap lock and they have two different mechanical lock seams. So it's easy to identify which panel you're working on by the dimensions and how it's put together. Down here at the bottom, there is a quick reference chart. So you'll see the different panels across the top, and you'll see some of the equipment we're going to talk about down the left column. So starting with the SSRA1. With the cup tip screws, this is intended for 22 gauge steel, non-curved panels. So anytime you're talking about attaching anything to the seams, we're only talking about straight panels, not curved panels. And these SSRA1s, these are intended for steel panels only. Aluminum and zinc and copper, there's some alternative products for that, but this is for steel. So the cup tip SSRA1, that's going to torque to 90 inch-pounds. That's going to provide a single tie-off point for a worker. So it attaches to the seam with 12 non-penetrating set screws. So it's actually 6 pairs of set screws that are basically just squeezing that seam in the center. So you can remove the D-ring and you can add adapter plates for walkboards or for horizontal lifelines. Now we also, if you're on 24 gauge steel, a little bit lighter steels, 24 gauge, we can switch over to the SSRA1 nylon tip version. The only difference is the set screws. That's going to go on with 180 to 200 inch-pounds of torque. It has a nylon bushing in the tip. It's a little bit softer bite on the seam and just uses more torque to stay in place. A nice sturdy grip with a little bit softer bite for those 24 gauge panels. And that, of course, is compatible with all three of the standing seam panels as well. And same thing, that's going to have a removable D-ring for the adapter plates. So let's talk about those. So if you want to put 10-foot wooden walkboards on a steeper roof, so you've got some nice level footing, you can mount 2 SSRA1 Seam Anchors about 8 feet apart. Get you a pair of SSRA2 roof jack adapters. Those mount on top of those anchors once the D-rings are removed. And those are seam height adjustable as well as roof pitch adjustable. And that's a nice sturdy base for a 10-foot wooden walkboard. If you need temporary horizontal lifelines on a roof, you can do the same thing. You can mount 2 SSRA1s, but you would mount them on seams right next to each other. And then you'd get an SSRA3 Anchor Plate. You'd mount that on top of 2 SSRA1 Seam Anchors. And that's going to be adjustable for seam widths from 12 to 24 inches wide. So you'd have that assembly, 2 anchors and a plate at each end of a 100-foot horizontal lifeline. You know, you can shorten that horizontal lifeline. There is a built-in line tensioner, so if you ever run shorter than 100 feet, it's no problem. You can just pull the slack and it will lock at whatever distance you need it to be. So we do sell a kit that's 4 SSRA1 anchors, 2 SSRA3 plates, and the 2-person horizontal lifeline that would go with those. Now, if you need a permanent lifeline on a roof, we do have a industry-exclusive 120-foot super anchor kit that's intended for standing seam roofs, and that includes a 120-foot galvanized steel cable. You have non-penetrating seam clamps with base plates and 5-inch riser posts, so that's for permanent installations. Now, if you're working on a standing seam roof that is aluminum or zinc or copper, or it's a gauge other than 22 or 24 gauge steel, we would recommend, and as long as that roof is 612 to 1212 pitch, we would recommend checking out the Ridge Pro. So the Ridge Pro is basically like a ladder hook, except instead of a ladder, it's going on the end of a 16-foot extension pole. So a worker would mount it on the pole, ascend a ladder, use the pole to run it up the roof while the worker stays safely on the ladder. You would flip it 180 degrees. It's going to lock over the peak of the roof. And as it locks over, it also is securing a vertical lifeline. That lifeline is attached to the worker's harness. So as soon as that worker then steps onto the roof, he's already 100% tied off. So you can do a repair, do an inspection, and get safely back to the ladder you were tied off the entire time. Very popular with homeowners, home inspectors, lightning protection equipment installers, things like that. So if you have any questions about any of these products or any of these panels, feel free to give us a call. Our phone number is up at the top of the webpage. Our email is support@fallpd.com. And this blue circle in the bottom right corner of our website, that's our live chat. Just let us know how we can help you.